Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Press for Truth TV on this Thursday, June the 27th, 2013. Today marks the 3-year anniversary. It was exactly 3 years ago today when over 1,100 people were arrested during the G20 summit here in Toronto, many of whom were shipped down to that makeshift detention center that became known as Guantanamo Bay. And obviously there was terrible conditions that people had to deal with there. We documented it extensively in our film Into the Fire. And so yesterday I spent a great deal of the day sharing the Into the Fire link across all social media, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, in an effort to raise awareness about some of the atrocities that took place 3 years ago here in Toronto when we saw the most massive violation of civil liberties here in Canadian history. And for you guys, the PressForTruth.tv members, I decided that with so much going on in the world, so much pain and deceit and corruption within government and so many things going on that I thought I would release the Into the Fire blooper reel from the Into the Fire DVD just to kind of lighten the mood for a change, and thought that would be good for a laugh. So if you haven't seen that yet, check it out. It was uploaded yesterday, so it's there in the daily videos section, called the Into the Fire blooper reel, and I was spreading that around as well today on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. Again, just to kind of try to lighten the mood in the middle, in the midst of all this evil government corruption and the escalation of the information war in regards to whistleblowers and journalists. And that's a little bit about what I wanted to talk about today. Obviously, I'm sure you're well aware by now of Edward Snowden, the former CIA analyst who's blown the whistle on the National Security Agency's Prism system, which has been data mining, collecting all telecommunications information, whether it be your websites you look at, Google searches, your emails, your text messages, your telephone calls, you name it, it is all being data mined, tracked, archived, put into a massive database where the government can gain access to this should you become a person of interest and they want to look into the backlog of your online footprint and track everything that you've done. And the reason why this is concerning, especially to journalists who are involved with exposing corruption in government, is because of the fact that they are beginning to target people who expose corruption within government. You look at the fact that Edward Snowden is now on the run, being charged with espionage for simply revealing what his own government is doing to their own American people. I don't see how that can be treason in any way, but he is on the run right now. And then of course we have the recent death of American journalist Michael Hastings. Now Hastings is known for exposing corruption in government, in particular in high-ranking military officials, so he's already ruffled quite a few feathers. And he recently died in a fiery car crash. Witnesses said the car could be seen speeding down the roads at insanely high speeds as it just veered directly into a tree and exploded into flames. And a lot of people are questioning now whether or not that was actually an accident or if Michael Hastings was murdered. And the reason why some of these questions are beginning to arise is because of the fact that Michael Hastings shared an email just hours before his death, in which he told many of his colleagues that he believed he was currently being monitored and tracked by the FBI because of a groundbreaking new story that he was working on. And he suggested to his friends, families, and colleagues that he was going to go off the radar for a little bit because of this groundbreaking new piece that he was getting set to release. And literally within hours of sending this email, his car all of a sudden erupts into flames as it hurled down the street and crashed into a tree. Now, we know that there is the capability of remotely controlling a vehicle. We're all well aware of the OnStar system, for example, where if you have a problem, you can contact OnStar and they can do things for you. They can unlock your car doors. They can access the car's computer remotely. And so it begs the question, could this system be abused by those who are involved in the military, in the government? Could they seize this system and take control of a vehicle and put the pedal to the metal, steer it into a tree and crash the car of an unwitting person who gets caught up in all this? It looks to be that is quite possible. Now, we may never know if Michael Hastings was murdered or if his accident was a genuine car accident, an actual accident. We may never know, but what we do know right now is that the Obama administration is declaring war on journalists, whistleblowers, and anyone who exposes information which may reveal corruption within the government. That is no doubt something we now have to deal with. And I think the death of Michael Hastings is troubling because it's not only going to put a little bit of fear into some journalists out there who may come across some groundbreaking information that needs to be exposed to the world, or even worse, this may strike some fear into some of the sources who reveal information to journalists that needs to be exposed and brought to the attention of the people of the world. And, as this information war continues to escalate, which I think it will, I think we're only beginning to see the beginnings of these types of things. There's going to be more Edward Snowdens. There's going to be more Michael Hastings type deaths, because, as I said, that's exactly what we're engaged in right now, is an escalating information war. And I just hope that people don't fear what may or may not happen to them should they reveal information. And I know it's probably easier said than done, but me personally, if I were to come across some groundbreaking information that I knew the world had to hear about, I wouldn't hesitate at all. I would certainly release that information as quickly as possible and as publicly as possible. But as we know now, with everything being tracked, we're almost getting to the point where, even to have a meeting with a source, you got to do it like in a desert under a cone of silence or something, because we know we're all being tracked, data mined, and watched right now by this big brother Orwellian surveillance control grid. And it's interesting that the 2013 Bilderberg Summit just ended less than a month ago, and we know that metadata and data mining was on the topic of discussion there, and then miraculously just weeks after that, Edward Snowden scandal comes out, Michael Hastings' death happens, and this all comes just weeks after Bilderberg basically said metadata and controlling information online is going to be a huge topic, and then it becomes a global topic that everyone is talking about. So again, very, very interesting. And as I said, we're going to continue to see these types of things escalate, but I just hope journalists keep it real and keep bringing the truthful information to the world, as people need to hear these things that are going on. I think this is a time that's going to be looked back in history, a moment where the information war was really, really taking off. And I certainly want to be on the side of truth and honor, freedom, and justice. So anyways, guys, just wanted to share my thoughts with you on that today a little bit. Haven't really talked about Michael Hastings much, so I thought I'd give a little bit of my thoughts on that today. I'd like to do something a little bit more in-depth on this topic soon. but figured I'd just give you my views on that as of today. And once again, folks, with all this corruption, all this craziness going on in the world, take a moment for yourself to enjoy something that is quite laughable in our Into the Fire bloopers reel that are released yesterday. So be sure to check that one out as well if you haven't. And anyways, folks, that is all for me today. I want to thank you for tuning in once again, and I'll see everyone right back here tomorrow at pressfortruth.tv.